And they would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for these.
All right. Let's chit chat. Let's talk about the kids.
The kids.
You've done some amazing work. And every day I think I get to learn more about you, which is awesome because you don't have to share your work or what you've done or what you're looking to do with me. You feel what I'm saying? So I gotta keep that stuff in mind.
Right.
So when you do, I always feel like blessed for like letting me in. Like, because I've seen people who've opened the door one time and that one time was all you'll ever get.
Right.
So DC is a very unique place. It's sometimes it reminds me of the photo of the rich being right beside the poor and act like they don't see them. Mm-hmm. And like the way things go down, that's how I feel it's being treated.
Oh yeah,
it's every day. Every day.
Every day. Mm-hmm. And you know, I can't even say you know, I you know,
you
as a resident of DC that
you're good.
Right, I don't see that, or I haven't been that person. I have just, because we all do it, man. We've all walked past that guy that's passed out on the street, or that dude that's begging. But
it's just a Saturday for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me now, whenever, like, you know, I walk past folks like that, right, and or just a different version of me, right? I'm acutely aware that I don't try to attach any labels to it or try to, you know, blame or act like I don't see them. Because I see you, right? So I always say, hey, what's up, Aunt? Hey, what's up, Pops? Hey, Mom, what's up? Like, you know, how we doing? Like, I always acknowledge them.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes it's not even like the buck or two that you'll give them. Like I'm just, I probably get more dabs by like folks out on the street that are asking for money than people that I actually know in DC on a regular day basis. I am telling you. But I love it. No, it's there.
I don't want to ask no dumb questions.
Man, there's no such thing, right? No, it's
I don't, where we are right now, it doesn't feel like what does the community need. Now it feels like what do we have left? That makes sense?
Like we have it. Like you staying in DC, you having this space.
Yeah.
Right? You have it. Like I know we have it. Right? You know, because you not moving like what everyone else is doing, right? You know, you walk outside, you're just like, oh shit, they're not me, right? Community to me implies that, you know, there is a space where 30, 40 years from now, right, some kid who's visiting or coming to school at Howard, right, can say, oh wow, there are me that still live here. Like that's a little bit of a safety, you know, a safeguard, a safety net. It's like, oh wow, we're still here.
Yeah.
Right, we're still here. 14. I trek down where we are all the time on 14th. Like it's aside from you and the other fella, or when I go upstairs, I don't talk to anybody that doesn't really like.
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about?
No, you're right.
Like, yeah, so we can talk. There's a lot that we can talk about, like, you know, but in terms of like the depth and.
You don't want verbal indigestion.
No, because I know it's your Friday and Saturday, and when you come out, it's like, oh my God, man, I did this. Like, we're not talking about anything of real substance. I've been inebriated in your space, but we're talking. That's the difference between, you know, the folks that are there and us.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, that's a sense of community. Like, you know, me seeing you that you have a space in Washington, D.C., right? Or, you know, there's still music, go playing at the Metro on 7th, right? Or there's still, me seeing this dude that's been hanging out on 14th since the pandemic, and I'm like, my guy,
Still going.
like,
Still going.
That's a community to
Yeah,
me.
still going.
And community means different things to different people. But for me, it's, saying that we're here, like, it doesn't matter how difficult things get, I can still be like, oh wow, he's still here. Right on, man.
Why do you care about the kids?
They're a reflection of me, man. That's easily a reflection of you and it's if we don't care about them, it's they're the next generation. All right, they're the next generation. It's the only difference between them and me is, they didn't have someone like me and you talking to them when we were growing up. We had to figure it out by ourselves.
Yeah.
We had our coaches taking us to practices and whatnot. But there's a very interesting quote. By, I believe it's Seneca or Plato, or it's about society. Whomever builds on the people, whomever builds on the mud, builds on the people. Right, and for me, that entails you have to look after the young ones, especially in the city. Right. Especially when you have 15-year-old having babies. Right. You have 16 and 17-year-olds having babies having babies. And that mental and that educational awareness is not really there. Right. In their mind, they're grown as men and women. And
They got out the butt already.
Exactly. So if you don't, not necessarily try to tell them what to do or show them how they should do it. Just give them a new perspective and offer them resources and tools and say, okay, hey, here's some water. If you're thirsty, drink it. Right? I'm not gonna say, oh, you're thirsty. You look like you're thirsty. Drink it.
Yeah.
You can't do that because they're gonna rebel. But the kids are a crucial part of us because we're gonna get old.
Yeah.
Right? We're gonna get old and we're not gonna be here anymore. They're the next one to pick up the mantle. So if we don't take care of them and we don't, install some kind of knowledge and culture as to who we are and where we come from. It's not going to be half of them don't even know what slavery is or who Harriet Tubman or Rosa Parks is, like who Muhammad Ali or Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. That's scary.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
That is scary.
To not know it all. You just know you got a day off and that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
There's stuff like that. Kids, they're us, man.
How do you go about meeting the kids where they are? And before answering that, tell the folks what it is that you do.
So, I worked for Maya Angelou, public charter schools, Essentially, I was one of the clinical social workers. So you work with kids in difficult spaces, and you try to support them by offering them different tools to tackle some of the barriers or so emotional, social, and learning impediments that they're experiencing, right? So that it is what I do, and work for some, so other may, yeah. But I love what I do.
You do. You do it with a passion, man. You do it with a passion and a goal.
Yeah.
That's without a doubt.
Yeah.
How do you go about meeting the kids? Are they kids? How do you refer to them?
I refer to them as children. That's how I see them. And for me, it's not coming from a space of disrespect. Right?
Yeah.
Because you don't know you can't do that. Like, you can't disrespect them at all. But to know when I'm talking to them and my tone and where I'm coming from is from a different plane. It's from, because we've already built that rapport.
Yeah.
Right. So it's from a different space.
Yeah.
Like, I see them as, we're here. Right? And oftentimes I'm here, they're there.
Yeah.
Right? I never raise my voice at them. And when I do, I self-correct in that moment.
Okay. So you apologize and everything.
Like, I apologize and I say, you know what? I did that. I shouldn't have done that. And in that moment right there, right, in that you just apply it to the experience that they've had, right? And for instance, I can say, you know what? Look at me. I'm an adult, right? You and I were having a conversation, and I was out of it for like a split second. And my tone, I raised my voice a little bit, right? And I reflect on that in the moment, and I say, I mess up too, but now I'm aware about it, and I check myself on it.
Yeah.
Right. Now, imagine in your situation, right? Maybe you're out in your neighborhood and you see someone who you didn't like. All of a sudden, you're flight or flight. Right. Now, if you're conscientious and you're aware about, hey, I just saw this person, right? I am beefing with this person, X, Y, and Z. You're going to do everything that's within you to make sure you avoid every kind of conversation whatsoever that may possibly occur, right? Simply because you're aware of it, right? But if you're not aware of it, right, and you forget that, hey, for that split moment, hey, this person did X, Y, and Z to me, you're going to react. And when you react, after a while, you realize, oh shit.
Yeah.
I fucked up.
Yeah.
Because you're not only are you not checking yourself in that moment, you're just reacting.
No longer processing.
You're not.
Yeah.
But when you do build up that skill of being aware about your emotions and about the things that you say, and gradually you become better at it. You become better at it. You become better at it, and that strength grows, right? And that behavior and that you're trying to change or trying to develop, like that gets slightly higher and higher and higher until you're completely aware of like how you act, how you walk, what people say to you, because you can process it in that moment and say, oh wow, you said that thing to me? Oh. And it's not from a place of weakness or passive, because you know what you're capable of.
Yeah.
All right. So
But what does that matter in this moment?
like it doesn't. So you just
Yeah.
remove yourself from that situation. You try to do things to alienate yourself from that situation. So, but in terms of back to what you were saying, I see them as eye to eye.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't talk to them as if I'm in a position of power. Like, I tell them straight up, I work for you.
Yeah.
I simply work for you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so you tell me what you need from me so you can regulate yourself. Because if you can't regulate yourself in here, I can guarantee you cannot regulate yourself out there.
Do you think putting the ball in their court of I work for you changes how they digest that experience with you?
I think that's one approach, because whenever has someone ever said that, hey, like an adult said, hey, I work for you.
Yeah.
So it's almost, it's something that they've never heard or experienced before.
Mm-hmm.
So when you've never heard or experienced a certain thing, you're like, you almost get taken back to it, right? Like, okay, now let's see if he really works for me.
Mm-hmm.
Now at that point, now I know I got you, right? So now you're gonna say, hey, Mr. Kamara,
Mm-hmm.
you think I can get I'm like, well, you know, I don't think you can, but let me see what I can do. Now we're building a rapport.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
They're understanding how to negotiate.
All right, and knowing that, okay, we're building a rapport, and once we've built that foundation where we can communicate openly,
Mm-hmm.
now we can get down to talking. But if
Yeah.
I can't get you to talk to me in the first place,
Yeah. Nothing.
like you know, that's why, you know, you go into this therapeutic spaces, right? There's like, you know, different engagement, you know, tools or props, right? So you can engage the client. It's the same thing in your office, right? You do the same thing here.
Yeah.
Right? And putting it in real time. Right? And maybe you knew that I went to SU, that I would see that. Right? Right? Like you see?
Yeah.
And then bam, next, you know, we had a 10-minute conversation about, you know, football experiences with, you know, life, you know, in the gridiron, and that now, okay, just relax. We've got a solid foundation. Now we can talk.
Yeah. I think it's crazy we've played against each other. And we both played on the defensive side, so we've never played against each
Yeah.
other directly. We've shaken hands at most.
At most we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. That's crazy. And just to frame this for you, my mom made these for me, and there's 8 of them, and this is the one that I chose to keep.
Again, man, you know, this conversation was already in the books. There was just a matter of, you know, finding the, I wouldn't say the right time, because there's no such thing as the right time. This could have been here, you know, next year, I'm sure. We would have had it and I would have seen it.
And and that's Washington and Lee right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was not a fan of them, man.
And they come to the bar all the time.
They got money.
They be in there. They
got-
be in there.
Oh,
They be
hey.
in there. They be in there.
What kind of conversation am I gonna have with them niggas up there, man?
They be in there.
So tell me what it's like to go to a school that you're facing some $1,000. Like, wait, what? Have a good day, sir.
They are, without a doubt, 1/6 of all profit that's made on the weekends. That's how many of them go in there. Every other weekend, guaranteed, no matter what.
Yeah. Hey, man, listen.
And for me, it's a place of irony at all times. I'm like, wow, this is what full circle looks like.
Yeah, it always is.
Yeah.
If you're in tune with You know, the patterns of life.
Yeah.
Just get to see it.
What is the job of a counselor? Exactly. So is there an on-paper job and there's a what you've come to understand about what you're looking to do?
There's definitely an on-paper job, right? And that's like, documentation. You have to make sure you're following, the organization protocol. But documentation, that's like, that's across the board, that's half the job. And I would say even it's probably 75% of the job, all right? But for me, it's like, is that really the job though? But it's so necessary, right? But on the other side of that, it's when you're in a space, and you're talking to your younger self, right? The way that you approach the work itself, it's a lot different from the way that you would approach the work with someone who have been experienced certain things and, certain traumas and certain sufferings in life, right? And so when I'm in that room with that kid, like the approach that I would take or the methods or interventions that I would use, right, to talk with a kid who haven't experienced those things differ from how it engaged with, that kid that has seen it all, right? And again, because they are me and I am them, and I'm just not talking about on a racial, on a ethnical or cultural background, right?
Talking about life.
Yeah, I'm talking about fucking experiences.
Yeah.
All right. So you don't need to sit there and regurgitate yourself about the things that you go through. Like when I'm looking at you in your eyes, and I see the kid.
Yeah.
Like, not only do I see the kid, I know, all right, and I know the reason why you're here. You're here because of this, right? Not because, I'm not looking about the fact that you were here because of what you did. All right. I don't even care about that.
Yeah.
Right? I see this. I see that kid, right? Whose parent, blah, 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 is from this background, this system, this ecological system that didn't have X, Y, and Z. So she did X, Y, and Z, and how that affect you in terms what you did. Right, so I see that kid back there. So when I say that I go into my work without, unprejudiced objectivity. Like I see the person as a whole. Right, I don't just see the kid that's just experiencing this right now. But when society sees us, they only see that.
Yeah.
They only see the pinky. They forget that, oh shit,
They see the problem.
More.
They see the kid that can't stay quiet.
Right?
Yeah.
Those are all labels, man. Like, so, but that kid that can't stay quiet, there's a reason why that kid can't stay quiet. Right? And when you find out why that kid can't stay quiet, now you're getting to the root of the problem. Right? So you have to figure out the underlying causes of the problem first, instead of just what's here right now. And when you dig back and you're able to assess and fully see the individual or the patient or client for who they are and what they could be, right?
Yeah.
And most importantly, knowing that try to create this representation or this figures. Hey man, I came from that. you're looking at you right now. Just like I'm saying, I'm looking at my younger self. And I just tapped in like 3-4 years ago. You can, man, listen, you're a god. Like, I just want to show you.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, I'm telling you, man.
Do you think they're able to see themselves?
I think, you know, I can't say they are able to see themselves in the world that they have created for themselves, or the world that they're forced to be in. Right there, in that sense, they're able to see themselves. But the space that we live in it's not even a drop in the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, what's our population right now? Is it over 1 million?
You mean in DC?
Yeah.
DC, we're 7,500.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah, we're not even there.
but their whole content of life is just here, and to go even deeper than that, it's just in their little neighborhood that they live in.
Yeah. And their neighborhood is their whole life.
It's their whole life.
Yeah.
So again, you know, biggest thing you can do is just try to offer perspectives and tools, and say, you know, and not even try to say, because you, first of all, you can, you know, at least in my work, you know, whenever in a time of history, if you ever try to, you know, especially tell someone to calm down and they'll calm down when they're heated, like, right, you can't. So what do? Right? You say, hey.
I don't think I even use those words.
But this the thing. You gotta approach them in a way where no one's ever even spoken to them in that fashion. Right? You gotta completely just throw them off. Right? You're like, whoa, wait. Hey, okay. You're upset right now. Great. Do you want to go to my office and, you know, talk? I'm not telling you what to do, right? I'm asking. And you can go there and, right? And this is going to keep happening. It's going to keep happening. It's going to be the same approach. Maybe the 106th time you're going to realize, well, shit. It didn't happen. You know, the 105th time, maybe let me see if I can switch it a little bit. And then you realize, bam. You know, their behavior and pattern changes a little bit. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to get upset. Can you please get so-and-so to come get me so we can go to the office?
Because they realize that is my option.
That is
I
your
get to choose. Yeah.
All right. And then, and from that point on, there's a space for you all to talk now.
Yeah.
It's like he's learned something, or she's learned something off of you not even like telling them what to do.
And that's effort.
Patience.
That's effort. That's all you can ask for without asking it out loud.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so the work itself it's very interesting perspective, right? Because you get to look at yourself from someone else's eyes, and see if if you're really meant to do this. Because for some folks, maybe like the 10 time, get thrown up, out of their minds, or they'll start identifying that kid with the label that they've been assigned on paper, right? Oh, this kid is hyperactive. This kid is aggressive. This kid is antisocial. Shit, put me in that environment that they can come from.
What else do you expect? Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, but it's basic science, right? It's basic biology that, you take a wild animal and you put them in a pack of harmonious animal. Their behavior change over time. because they realize they're not, they're not a threat. Like no one's after them, right? But at the same time, you take a kid or you take an animal who is harmonious, you put them in a pack that's, the behavior switches.
Yeah.
So we know it's all about environment. Right? And so when you're able to build that space for them to really see themselves and what they're capable of, that's when real change happens.
Yeah. And it's beyond just courses of action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. And for me, what I love to do, right, Juice?
Yeah.
Because I love to read.
You do. You are a walking passion. My girl, is the only one who reads as much as you do.
But it goes even deeper than that, right? Because knowledge without application is useless.
Yeah.
Right.
And testing things out.
All right. Listen, you can read all the books about shooting basketball. You can know the angles, the technique, the posture and all that. But until you stood out there in the rain, cold, and winter, having been that element, you would never know what it's like.
Did you hear about that basketball study where there were 3 groups? One group they did image training for the basketball. The other group, and that was for like a half hour. The other group did basketball practicing training, half hour. And the third group did 15 minutes image training, 15 minutes of application, actually trying basketball.
All right.
And then what they did was they had everybody go through the drills. Which group do you think did best in that process?
Obviously, I would say the group that with the application.
The kids that progressed the best were the ones that were allowed to do image training for 15 minutes and then the application for 15 minutes.
Right, because what it is that you're seeing, you're able to apply it. Right, and it's the same thing, right, with reading books, right, and yes, reading fantasy books is great, right, because it stimulates your mind and it puts you in an alternate reality, right. But this is my reality. Why would I want to escape from this?
Yeah.
All right. So when I read things, I always first and foremost apply it to myself, right? And this is the most interesting and fascinating part, because all these knowledge and everything, all this wisdom, we already been imparted with it. Books just reinforce it when you apply it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wow, man, right? So with one of my approach, knowing that I can't, tell anybody what to do, right? I ask you, how do you think I can help you? What do you want? What would you like to read? Like, Maya Angelou, our namesake, said, any book that helps a child develop a habit of reading, it's a good book. Like, all the books they're getting is these urban novels about this, that, and I'm like, yes, let's do it. Like, reading those books, you're learning from them, right? And you're seeing, okay, this character from this book, okay, did X, Y, and Z, and this X, Y, and Z community, this member, this person, and got through, right? But this other person over here, about the cartel, didn't do, and then got, right? And this person, was in the streets and when to come out, blah blah blah. Oh man, Mr. Kamar, I need book 1. You know what? Let me get book 1 and book 2. So and like, I walk in, it's like, where's my book? I'm like, children, good morning. Like you're right. Good morning. Right. So even the book may not necessarily make sense to you.
Yeah.
It makes sense to them. It's affording them space for them to critically think, about real life situation in their world, right? And who knows? Maybe there might be a story or naming there somewhere down the road. They might be walking down the street and be like, oh, wow, I remember that, that name from that book. Let me check that book out. And then next thing you know, they're reading that book. They may not necessarily finish the book. It might take them a year or two to finish, right? Or they might throw it aside and like, let me pick back that book after 6 months. And then when they're done with it, they might see a word in there and they're like, let me go grab another book, right? And then we go grab another book. Maybe there's something in there, right, that's going to spark up the interest about something. And then next thing you know, bam. Now that, that urban book that you were reading has just allowed you to explore other avenues as to how you can, like, pick up something that's going to, develop you and show you to yourself who you are. Right? And that, self-knowledge.
Do you think being in that environment and dealing with what the kids have dealt with, calling them children, gives them an opportunity to actually be kids?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For my part, I feel so, right? Again, you have to understand my approach. It's different from someone else's approach, right? Someone else is not going to call them children because they're not,
Life's a big place.
But when I'm talking to them, and it's, they, one of the most rare moments is like, when you do talking to them and you do say, oh, you're children, and like your kids, it breaks my heart, man. Like, it's like, I know we're all kids, and then it's like in that moment, it's like, oh man. Or it's like, when you're watching cartoons with them, right? And then you see that little boy. You see that little boy come out. That shit breaks your fucking heart. And you see that little giggle. Like, but as soon as you're done, the mask come back on when you go out there, and then it's like, but,
And it's a concrete mask.
Yeah, and so when you're able to interplay within those boundaries, and, you receive them, and you see them in a different light. Yes, you don't fear them. There's nothing to fear about them.
Yeah.
But if you don't understand, you're afraid. You're afraid in their world. It can smell fear.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, not only do they smell fear, but what they smell is how you're not handling your fear.
Oh,
and that's what's important.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Don't cover it up. We didn't get to cover it up. You don't get to cover it up.
Like, no.
Yeah.
It's very similar experiences, and because our experiences, again, are so similar, I'm comfortable when I'm around them.
Yeah.
I'm so comfortable. It's ridiculous. There's been a handful of times when I'd pop in on a Saturday just to say what's up.
Just cause.
Just
cause.
Like, I'm like, it's just not a job for me. I'm coming to play, dog. I'm talking to my younger self. Yeah, it's like, come on, man. Just because I talk like this doesn't mean like, come on.
Go outside.
It's like, go outside,
Go
man.
outside.
It's like, outside for them is not safe.
Yeah.
It's just not safe.
Yeah. And even sometimes just thinking about it, like, our reality, actually, no, my reality is different from your reality. That's different from their reality.
Of course. Of course. Like, for me, when I say go outside,